we're talking about the pelvic floor, A lot of people don't know even what the pelvic floor is. So if you could give us just a quick synopsis
Ooh.
description.
I have a model. Do you want me to
Oh,
get the model?
fantastic.
Okay, just that. I should have thought of that earlier. It's like show and tell.
Yay.
I love show and tell. Okay. So actually, let's get the participants to participate. Okay. So here's the pelvis as if I'm looking at you. Here's the pubic bone. So what I want you to do is find your belly button. Mm-hmm. And then work your way down in the soft lower part of the belly to find the harder part, which is your pubic bone. And it's pretty low, right? Okay. Now put your hands on your hips as if you're like standing like proud of yourself. That's on these iliac crusts. Find your little pointy bone in the front. And then you can come under your bum on either side and wiggle back and forth and find those little bones on either side here. And then if you sat on your hand, like if you want to sit with your hand like it's a pad, that is your pelvic floor. And we have 3 different layers. So the outer layer is more our sexual muscles around our clitoris and our urethra. But the deeper muscles are more of our inner core. So when we talk about, the bottom of the core, and then the diaphragm is the top of the core, and they're attached through the deepest of the abdominal muscles. There's 4 layers of abdominal muscles. The deepest one's called the transverse abdominis. And then they're attached to fascia and little muscles along the spine called the multifidus. So it acts like a canister. And that canister is our support system before we lift heavy things. It's our stabilizers. And the diaphragm and the pelvic floor very much work together by they both, when we breathe in, it doesn't feel like this, but when we breathe in, our diaphragm actually goes down. So think of a balloon. If we squeeze the middle of the balloon, like if you're a gut gripper, then the pressure is going to go down into the belly and you're not going to be able to breathe very well. So we need to be able to let that belly go, which isn't easy to do when we feel uncomfortable, when we feel swollen, when we feel like we look like we're 6 months pregnant. It's like, let's suck it all in. And then you might have this sense of heaviness or fatigue in the pelvis, pressure, that sort of thing. So that whole system needs to work together. You need to be able to allow yourself to breathe. That's a big thing. Sometimes for some people, it might be focusing on the breath, and that I can tell that's how their pelvic floor releases. So it's not like the pelvic floor gets all of the attention. I'm finding out who's the biggest driver to be able to relax this. For some people, it's not even focusing on the body, it's focusing externally, and the body responds by calming down, right? Sometimes coming into the body is like too much. But the pelvic floor is that those muscles between the sit bones, between the pubic bone and the tailbone. And it's a bunch of little muscles together down in there.
I thought it was so fascinating when I started doing physio that my endometriosis physiotherapist shared that, where do you hold your tension in your body? A lot of people, their shoulders are up to their ears and they're in their traps, but you can hold that stress in your pelvic floor too. So that was such a interesting activity for me.
And often it's not just the pelvic floor. There'll be the pelvic floor, the abdominal muscles, right, the breath, the shoulders, and the jaw. The jaw even has a lot of connections fascially all the way down. So we're kind of looking at this whole chain. And you're not a hot mess. They go together. They're soldiers together. They're just protecting you. They're protecting you. Don't be mad. Oh my God, there's so much research on when we hate our body. Increased inflammation, increased immune markers. So it's really, I really spend a lot of time reframing people's understanding of what their body's doing. It's doing what it thinks it needs to do. We need to make it feel more safe, and then it won't be on its guard as much. And that's so important.
We could have a whole separate
I know.
Q&A on that topic specifically.
I
We have
know.
a